So this is the idea of using Magician's Choice to force down from 10 cards to one specific card, and to do it in a way that I think works naturally, but it also never changes the decision that the audience makes until a later point when it's sort of, I think, unimportant. So the idea here is that I'm going to remove a 9 of clubs. That'll be our prediction card, or whatever. Actually, I have a duplicate 9 of spades. So we'll put the 9 of spades over here. The spectator doesn't know what that is, and now we're ready to go. Normally that'd be a duplicate 9 of clubs, or write it on a piece of paper, whatever I have. The stack is this. It is an even card, any even card, an odd card, any even card, the force card, and then the another even card. So that's the force. Those 5 cards go underneath the 5 ordinary cards. Regular cards, these can be shuffled. These can be any 5 cards. So it's really just a 5-card stack, and this gets added into there. What I'm working on currently is the idea that they would select these 10 cards, and then I would do some sort of a switch to switch in these 10. So these feel like these 10 cards were randomly selected from the deck before we even start. Now we're in a position to be able to deal these cards. Now what's interesting about them is we're going to deal them into 2 piles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what's interesting about this stack is because the odd cards fall at 2 and 4, we can count through these cards as often as we want, and they're still going to fall at 2 and 4. That's just the way that works. So I can deal these, and it doesn't change the order of the stack respectively, and we'll talk about what that means there. So we're going to start with an opening line that is the idea of just saying, in a moment we're going to eliminate some of these cards. We've dealt them into 2 packets. I want you to just point to any packet that you want, and when they point to this packet, you say, we'll keep that packet. And now you decide to keep that packet or use that packet, and now that language is going to be consistent throughout the trick. If they said this packet, okay, we're going to eliminate that packet, and then you're going to use that language consistently throughout the trick, because the next force, which is what I think I've sort of added to this equivoque sequence, is what I'm calling the face-up odd-even force, right? So the idea is, let's just say they eliminate these. So you say, okay, you've eliminated these cards. We have now 5 cards left, and I count these to the table. It's important that you count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. Because we've eliminated there, I'm going to play the same game. I'm going to say, and we'll continue to eliminate cards, but I'm going to let you decide. Do you want to eliminate the odd cards or the even cards? And actually should point out, before I say that, I say, in a moment we're going to turn these cards face up. But before we do, I'm going to let you decide. Do you want to eliminate the odd cards or the even cards? We're going to continue to eliminate cards. Do you want to eliminate the odd cards or the even cards? If they say they want to eliminate the even cards, I just drop these on top, scoop them up, and say, let's see how many even cards we have in here. We have 3 even cards. So that leaves it with just 2 cards left. Here we're going to shuffle these 2 cards. You shuffle them up. Hand me 1. When he hands me 1, I peek at that. I just throw that over there, and it's also been eliminated. If they hand me the other one, so they hand me this one, I say, perfect, that leaves me with 1 card left. Toss the last one down, and we'll eliminate that one. We'll eliminate the one you chose, toss that one down. So we've now eliminated through the whole process. If we go back to the beginning now, actually, let's go back 1 step. The other step is that our force cards are at 2 and 4, and these are on the table this way. 3, 4, 5. We have 5 cards. In a moment, we're going to turn them face up. Before we do, you get to make a decision of which cards we eliminate. Do you want to eliminate the odd cards or the even cards? If they say they want to eliminate the odd cards here, we go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll get rid of the odd cards, and we toss the odd cards off to the side. I now pick these up, shuffle them, and I can also turn those over face up because they won't notice they're even. Turn those face up there. I say now shuffle these, hand me 1, he hands me 1. Normally the force card would be marked here, so as soon as he hands me this, I do that. And now we're out and done. If he hands me the other one, he hands me this one. I say, okay, you decided you wanted this card. Toss the last one to the side. We don't need that, and we're done. So now we get consistency in action. But let's go back to the very beginning. The very beginning is if they decide to keep a pack of cards. So the stack is exactly the same. We're in exactly the same situation we started. These cards are here. These cards are here. And I say, in a moment, we're going to eliminate some of these cards. I want you to point to any packet. Perfect. We'll keep those cards. Get rid of the rest. Now we get rid of the rest. Okay, now let's decide what cards we're going to keep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you want to keep the odd cards or the even cards? Oh, you want to keep the odd cards. Let's see how many odd cards there are. There are, in this situation, 2 odd cards that you wanted to keep. We'll get rid of the rest. Or the opposite scenario. They say they want to keep the even cards. We're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to say, oh, you wanted to keep the even. These have to get dealt. 3, 4, 5. Oh, you want to keep the even cards. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are all odd cards. We've gotten rid of those. Now we have the even cards. Mix these up. Hand me 1. As soon as I get the 3, I turn it over to there. This is the selected card. That's the 9. That's the 9. we're out. So I sort of ran that pretty fast, but what I like about it is that you're getting a consistency in action and you're able to tell them what you're going to do before they do it. A lot of times with Equivoque, we don't get consistency. We eliminate one round and then we keep the next round and then we eliminate the third round. And then I also think we don't get to clear decisions. But with this one, I say we're going to eliminate the odd cards or the even cards. It's up to you. Which one do you want? That feels really free and fair. Or I say we're going to keep the odd cards or the even cards. Now, we don't have to do that. But the reason I'm keeping or eliminating is based on what we did the first phase. So if the first phase we kept the packet because they pointed to the target packet, then we're going to keep either the odd cards or the even cards. We're going to use either the odd cards or the even cards, depending on what we did in the first phase. Do you point to one? Okay, we'll use those cards. Eliminate the rest. Which of these cards do you want to use? The even or the odd? Now they've made that decision, and I either turn them face up or count to them, and then we get rid of them. Let's talk about the final phase where you get down to 2 cards. The key here is we're going to keep consistent, right? I mentioned that earlier. That's what's nice about this is we get consistent actions. So we'll do this sort of face down, but I'll let you understand what's happening. So if they chose to keep the first pile and use the first pile, and then they chose to use the odd cards, we now end up in this scenario. We're using 2 odd cards. They shuffle those up face down. Now, again, I'm continuing to say use those cards. So if they hand me the force card in this situation, I say, now remember, you decided to use this card. We're going to eliminate the one that's in your hand. Exactly the opposite. If they handed me this one to eliminate, I would say, look, now you've decided to keep that card for yourself. I'm going to eliminate the other one. You've chose to keep that card for yourself. I'm going to eliminate the other one. So the language we're trying to do here is say use that card. I'll just get rid of this one, because they've been consistently choosing the card with which we move forward. So now if they replay that in their mind, in the first phase they pointed to a packet, we used that packet. In the second phase they decided to point to even cards, and we used the cards in the even locations. In the third phase they handed me a card, and we decided to use the one they didn't hand me by eliminating this one. So it's just the language. At the end of the trick, I would go just the opposite way if they eliminated. You eliminated a packet, you eliminated the even cards, you're now down to 2 cards. If you hand me this one, I say, yep, and take the last one you have and eliminate it. Or you hand me one, and I say, okay, we'll eliminate this card. So we're consistently getting that elimination process. The other thing I really like is to have those eliminated cards as we go through set here, so that without a lot of thought or movement, I can just do this. I can just toss that into that pile. I can say, now you shuffle those cards, you handed me one face down. We've been eliminating cards. You've chosen to eliminate that card. Let's turn over the final card and see what it is. Just the opposite. If they handed me this and this isn't the card, I say, now you've gotten down to this scenario. You decided to keep one card to use. That'll be the card we use for the trick. Let's just get rid of this one. Let's check our prediction, right? So what we're trying to do is use consistent language. Phase 1, you chose this. Phase 2, you chose this. Phase 3, you chose this. Phase 1, you eliminated this. Phase 2, you eliminated this. Phase 3, you eliminated this. So we're keeping that language consistent throughout the trick. And this last one is the one to just don't put a lot of heat on it, right? They don't know because they've shuffled, they don't know, and they don't know that you know, but the 9 is marked on the back. So as soon as they place this card in my hand and I need to force the 9, I take this card and I say, now look, you've been deciding to keep cards the entire time. You decided to keep this card. We'll put it over there under the prediction and we can just get rid of this one. And that's it. You've decided to use. So I hope that makes sense. But now we have consistency in every single phase, and we have decisions that I think feel like they should feel. I don't feel like anything feels off or wonky. Hope that makes sense.